God knows that we waited 3 years and then a whole month for this very day, and now that it's here, I really have more questions now instead of answers. Sure, Dustin did give us a few valid explanations about what the Upside Down really is, and my theory about the wormhole and the Upside Down being a bridge turned out to be bang on, but even now they're nowhere close to ending Vecna's terror, who, by the way, has been successfully manipulating the kids to do his bidding. This has been anything but a fair or easy fight, but if we know one thing, that's taking down Vecna might be difficult, but it's certainly not impossible. Having said that, you didn't think I'd just sit back and wait for the finale, did you? We certainly don't do that here on this channel, so without wasting another moment, let's discuss what could possibly happen at the end of Stranger Things. Dr. K is probably not just a scientist. Now, I'm not implying that she's a superpowered being, but I just know there's some ulterior motive Dr. K has been hiding. If you watch Stranger Things: The First Shadow, or if you've watched any of our previous videos about the Broadway stage play, you already know that Martin Brenner has had a motive to find this other world. Just like Brenner was not doing it for science or, to take down the Russians, I bet your ass that K is also walking the same path. Even as a villain, there's just an aura about her that's really quite captivating. But there has to be a reason why the Duffer Brothers have been keeping her character intentionally ambiguous. We don't know anything about who she really is or what she really wants. Although the 3 new episodes do add some much needed context to why she's involved with the military, Dr. K is still feeling a little underwritten at this point. You have to understand that 11 knew Dr. K by her first name, and this woman is barking orders at high-ranking officials without even caring for their fragile egos, which is not a very common occurrence in the 80s. Most importantly, she's hell-bent on carrying forward Brenner's work by restarting Project Indigo, by recreating an army of superpowered kids the same way that Brenner did with Henry's blood. Given that Collie's blood has not given her much results, she's desperate to dig her claws into 11's veins. But there has to be more layers to it. With Stranger Things, there just always is. Now, we know that Kay believes everything in the world is going wrong because of 11, and that's why she aims to capture her to remove the threat from the streets. But then there's this floating theory about Kay being related to Eddie Munson, because one of the names on a Munson tombstone from season 4 reads Cheryl Kay. Now, the epitaph mentions that Cheryl was born in 1934 and that she died in 1976. If you think about it, Linda Hamilton's character seems close to Cheryl's age, and even if this is just a speculation, knowing the Duffers, I don't think any of this can be coincidence. Maybe Dr. K is actually related to Eddie, blames 11 for his death, and is now hellbent on seeking revenge. What do you guys think? Where is Dr. Owens? Honestly, I don't even care much about Collie's 4th story arc. Someone just needs to tell me where the hell has Sam Owens been. So when we last saw Dr. Owens, he was handcuffed by Brenner in his secret Nevada bunker, where they were conducting the Nina project to help 11 get her powers back. But after Lieutenant Sullivan and his soldiers broke into the bunker and shut the project down, the whole encounter with Mike and Will saving Elle, thus leaving Owens' fate uncertain. Now, of course, Sullivan would not just let Owens walk away. That's definitely not how the military did things back in the 80s, meaning he's probably been in prison for the past 2 years. It's possible that Owens is being interrogated by the military, and maybe that includes both Kay and Sullivan. But we really do deserve some form of clarity. I don't know about you, but with just 1 episode left to go, I want to know where is the only scientist who cared for Elle and the kids. I have a feeling that Owens might appear at the end to guide our heroes in some way. Maybe Dr. K finally brings him out to figure out where she might find Elle and the gang inside the Upside Down, and instead of helping the military, he does everything possible to help the heroes. In fact, I'm scared that after teasing so many deaths throughout the past 7 episodes, the Duffer Brothers are really just building up to a heart-wrenching Owens sacrifice. Will Vecna have a redemption arc? We know that Stranger Things' biggest spoiler was given to us by Noah Schnapp, when he mentioned how Vecna was a misunderstood villain. But what if that was all a ruse to distract us? Even if Holly does mention the incident of the cave is what turned Henry into Vecna, we really haven't seen any fleeting signs of redemption in him. He's still focused on merging the right side up with the Abyss, and we really only have 1 episode left. I did initially think that the Mind Flayer has been controlling Vecna's body and mind, just like what he does with Derek and Holly at the end of Volume 2, but we haven't really heard the Mind Flayer's name since Vecna's drama started in Season 4, which honestly is just pissing me off. Sure, Vecna has ascended the ranks of TV and movie villains extremely quickly, and that's very impressive considering he's only been a part of Stranger Things for 2 of its 5 seasons. From his apocalyptic yet subtle introduction in the Season 4 premiere, to the Henry Creel revelation midway through the season, the show wasted little time in making him a force to be reckoned with. And after his truly terrifying return midway through Season 5, the Duffer Brothers have successfully doubled down on his effectiveness as the show's primary villain, for now at least. But it will all come to an end for Vecna in the Season 5 finale. It has to, because he's been unstoppable this season. We see absolutely no signs of weakness in him, and somehow Vecna has always remained 1 step ahead, even though he was temporarily taken aback when Will invaded his mind and broke his leg. Having said that, the man going by Mr. Whatsit is definitely going to have to fall in the finale, and the kids that he's taken prisoner will undoubtedly play play a huge part in that. So far, it seems like 11, Will, and Kali will use their combined powers to take him down. But I'm more concerned about what the end looks like for our dear Henry. We know that he has a history with both Elle and Will, but what if Kali was visited by Vecna before Elle and Hopper got to her? And did the Duffers just forget the Mind Flayer's existence? Where does the Shadow Monster fit into all this? My guess is that Elle will walk into Henry's mindscape to find a way to connect with him, just like she did with Billy. If she does manage to do that, maybe there's a chance for Henry to redeem himself after all. Whatever it is, amidst all the uncertainty, this is going to be a huge showdown. Is the Mind Flayer even in charge of this thing? If you've rewatched Stranger Things while gearing up for the final season, you might have noticed something that feels a little off in hindsight, and that's how Vecna is introduced out of nowhere. For years, the show framed the Mind Flayer as the ultimate villain and the looming force behind everything that went wrong in Hawkins, and yet he was never truly defeated. In Season 2, the Mind Flayer attacked psychically through Will, appearing in his massive shadow form before 11 sealed the gate. Then again, Season 3, it returned as that grotesque flesh and bone version, built from the melted goo of the Hawkins residents it killed. Both times, closing the gate did not kill the Mind Flayer, but just forced it out of Hawkins. However, Season 4 then flips the entire power structure on its head by suggesting that Vecna was the one pulling the strings all along, even creating the Mind Flayer by giving structure to the floating dust particles he found in Dimension X. But Stranger Things The First Shadow complicates that idea by hinting that the shadow entity may have existed first, and that it's the force that twisted Henry Creel into Vecna in the first place. So who's really in control here? Is Vecna the master or just another pawn? Maybe the Mind Flayer has been quietly waiting in the background since Season 3, and acting directly through Vecna. Of course, the final episode has to provide some clarity on this front, but still Vecna's powers cannot be innate. It has to come from something, and because the Mind Flayer, just like Vecna, wants to reshape the world in its vision, it's safe to assume that the Shadow Monster is still in charge. Can we really trust Kali? If I've learned one thing from Stranger Things, that is to never doubt Hopper's instincts. More importantly, she really seems to be such a cornball of a character who's just in the plot to create suspicion. I don't know what it is, but I seriously can't seem to trust her. It almost seems like she's trying to actively sabotage Elle, and her wanting to help her fight against Vecna is making me anxious about her loyalty. We know that Kali has spent an extraordinary amount of time in the Upside Down lab, so it's very much possible that she was visited by Vecna during her captivity. Vecna is a master manipulator, so is it really wrong to assume that he influenced Kali to join him? We know that Kali escaped when she was 8 years old, but we never really figure out how she managed to escape from a high-security facility at such a young age. Then again, when 11 meets her, Kali starts helping Elle access her powers by tapping into her rage or negative emotions. She teaches her to access a dark memory that would bring out emotions that made her angry, and in turn boost her powers. Then again, when 11 was just 8 years old, Henry tried to help her run away before, Elle took out the power-suppressing chip from inside his neck, and then became a catalyst of the massacre at Hawkins' lab. Now, over the years, Elle forgot Henry, but what if Kali was also helped by Henry in her escape? This could mean that she remembered Henry and that everything was probably part of his grand scheme from the very beginning. It's possible that Vecna holds some kind of power over Kali. So it's very much possible that in the finale, we might see Kali turn on everybody and support Vecna at the last leg of Steve's plan to prevent the Abyss from merging with the human world. I think Kali would do a significant amount of damage, and after she realizes how Vecna played her, she would end up sacrificing herself in order to make up for her betrayal. Is it really possible for 11 to die at the end? We know that when our gang of heroes were heading into the Upside Down, Kali and Elle did not plan on returning. Kali, aka 8, thinks that 11 and Mike's dream to live happily ever after when they defeat Vecna and end the war in the Upside Down is naive. She instead wants her sister to stay behind in the Upside Down with her, thus allowing the dimension to cease to exist with them both inside it, thus effectively ending the military's plan to produce more superpowered children like them. Now it seems like Elle has momentarily agreed to that plan, as she doesn't want her loved ones to be in danger anymore. But it's hard to believe that this could actually be the outcome of the season. After all, Elle has been through enough trauma, and as dark as Stranger Things can get, it always maintains its hope. Telling us that our hero is going to sacrifice herself a whole episode before it happens really feels like a fake out. At least 11 of all people deserves a better ending. Long before the final season of Stranger Things had even arrived, there has been an ongoing fan theory that the show would eventually end with 11 somehow sacrificing herself to save Hawkins and the world. It's a theory that makes sense, as it's a common trope with a hero sacrificing themselves and dying a hero's death. Moreover, we know that Elle will do just about anything to save her friends. But if the plan was truly for 11 to die in the series finale, it just doesn't make sense for the Duffer Brothers to be so obvious. Yes, there is a chance this will be how 11's story ends, but the whole self-sacrificing storyline was simply too direct. Just like we expected Steve to die after that Jimmy Fallon interview with the Duffers, we're supposed to be expecting 11 to die, which is why the odds seem low that she actually will. 11 feels like a red herring at this point. We're all going to be expecting her to die, only for some other character to unexpectedly sacrifice themselves so 11 can live. This would make far more sense than going with the most obvious route of having 11 die a hero's death, and instead bestowing that honor on another more unexpected character. Well, this brings us to the end of this video. These theories are really just my 2 cents, but tell me, what theories do you guys have after Volume 2? Let us know in the comment box down below.
Watch out!